Scleroderma literally means hard skin. Scleroderma is mostly visibly characterized by fibrosis or hardening of the skin. It is a chronic and complex disease involving scarring, blood vessel damage, and autoimmune components. In scleroderma, the body attacks itself and forms scar tissue that can damage the lungs, kidneys, and gastrointestinal tract with grave results. Blood vessel damage from scleroderma can result in the loss of fingers, toes, and entire limbs. Joints and muscles can also be affected, resulting in extreme pain and a loss of mobility. Today, there is no way to prevent scleroderma, and there is no cure. Scleroderma is classified as a rare disease, but in all its forms affects more people than cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, and ovarian cancer combined. Despite an increasing patient population, most people don't know what scleroderma is. You are about to meet Dr. Frederick Wigley, founder and director of the Scleroderma Center at the Johns Hopkins University Hospital in Baltimore, Maryland.
The word scleroderma means thick skin. Normally our skin is very flexible and easy to move and allows us to have movement in our body parts. In scleroderma, the skin gets thicker because of an increase in amount in the stuff we're made out of, collagen. And that collagen causes then the limbs to get restricted in motion. And many patients will have inability to open their fingers, move their arms, open their mouth, have difficulty because of the flexibility problems in the skin.
This is what happens in scleroderma. Certain cells give the signal to produce collagen, a base protein of all connective tissue, as if they were an injury that needs to be fixed. With scleroderma, the cells don't turn off like they should and end up producing too much collagen, which causes the skin to become very tight and gets in the way of the normal functioning of our organs.
Scleroderma is a multi-system disease that affects not just skin deep, it affects internal organs. The usual targets, in fact, are the GI tract, the lung, the heart, and occasionally the kidney. The way that the lung gets involved is with an inflammatory process that's different than other diseases, that's associated with a scarring reaction, which causes the lung to shrink. And therefore, when one breathes, the gas can't get through the lung into the blood. And it causes a stress to the body in general because you have low oxygen, and it puts a stress on the heart, and many patients then develop heart failure. And that combination of the lung and the heart failing is now the most common cause for patients to die from this awful disease.
Pain, ranging in severity from uncomfortable to debilitating, is a common characteristic of scleroderma. Other early symptoms can include general to extreme fatigue, joint or bone aching, stiffness of hands and feet, skin discoloration, swallowing difficulties, skin thickening or tightness, unexplained ulcers on fingers or toes, Raynaud's phenomenon.
I was a program manager in the technology field. Very high-paced, very great job, loved it. Suddenly my muscles shut down, and I actually spent a week in bed. I've heard Dr. Wigley describe it as pouring cement under your skin, and that's exactly what it was at that point.
My whole life completely changed. I went from like running a store and running my kids around and running back and forth to my son's college to pretty much being bedridden within like 6 to 8 months of my diagnosis. I progressed very quickly within the first 6 months to the point where I went from working full-time to going on medical disability.
I'm a contractor, I work with my hands, I felt like kind of a shell of a man that I couldn't really do much physically. At its most active stage, it was very difficult for me to even get in and out of bed or clothe myself.
I work in a restaurant, still do, but I was a waitress then. Legs started hurting, getting tired, feet, hips, everything. The weight coming off like crazy, then my hands started cramping up. So I eventually had to get off the floor, and they let me be a hostess. They gave me a stool because I couldn't walk around long. I had to stop driving because I just didn't feel comfortable, because once I lost control of the wheel once, and with my knuckles, anything banging, the pain was excruciating, so I didn't want to hurt anybody else.
Most people do assume that I'm not ill, that I'm not disabled, because they can't see anything. If you look at a person in a wheelchair, on a walker, it's like, oh, something's going on with them. Someone has to look a little closer or be a little more sensitive and observant to notice that I'm short of breath. My skin has changed.
I'm absolutely convinced that with the right support, there's nothing that can't be done now. I think, if you look back, we never knew that we'd be carrying a telephone around that could show us movies. And so that's not in our imagination. So not to think that we can't cure a disease like scleroderma is foolish. And it's just a matter of getting the support to do it.
More research is needed on immunoablation therapy. Approximately 10% of patients do not survive the treatment. For all those who do survive, their future is still uncertain. Some experts believe progenitor cells will repair injured tissue and properly regulate the immune system. Other experts believe progenitor cells may eventually reconstitute the disease as they return the system to normal. Time will tell. New technologies and some of the world's most talented scientists who are already in place, it's quite possible that a cure will come during ours.